Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. All right. Happy Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Sabby Sabs podcast. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. If you're new, I do want to let you know we are also streaming on X as well as Rumble and, of course, YouTube. Welcome back, guys. I missed you on Tuesday. I actually had another engagement that I forgot about until Tuesday morning. But if you guys are subscribed to my Substack, you probably received that message letting you know I wasn't going to be live Tuesday evening. But we do have a lot to talk about tonight, apparently. So the news cycle has been rapid fire. I'm pretty sure you guys have noticed that. So every now and then you may see me upload videos that are not a part of the live stream. That's just something like breaking news, just because there's so much happening, especially with this administration. It's hard to keep up if I wait until I go live sometimes. So just letting you know about that. Also, because of that reason, because of the rapid fire cycle, you'll notice that I may not clip every single news story from a live stream, right? Because YouTube only gives notifications for 3 videos. So if you do like 4 or 5, it doesn't give notification for all those videos. So trying to keep up with the news cycle here because there's just so much that's been happening. But welcome back, guys. We have so much to get into. Tonight's theme is liar, 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 liar. Just like the movie, crazy things are happening in DC as well as, of course, geopolitically. So first and foremost, I want to give some shout outs to the people in the chat. What's going on? Uncle says, this is starting to be too much to keep up with. You miss one day. The world is changing at an extremely rapid rate. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, literally, I just had Professor Morandi on, and we were talking about the new strikes that the U.S. implemented on Iran, and Iran firing back. And that was just, I feel like 2 days ago. And then now, that calmed down and that had ceased for a minute. And then they started strikes again last night. So it's just been a lot happening back and forth. Then along with this new Epstein bombshell, it's crazy times, ladies and gents. Shout out to Good Food says, hi, Sabby, let's go Knicks. I noticed I got a lot of Knicks fans in the chat, man. I am noticing. I did see you guys pull out that win last night. I really did think you guys were going to lose. Like that was a close one. That was a close one. Shout out to Chainsaw says, good. Greetings, I know myself. One whiff of Gwyneth Paltrow's famous candle and Trump came back to his senses somewhat. We will not bomb Iran and inflation is good. Yeah, crazy, isn't it? Crazy. Greetings, FAFO. Hello, Sabby. White supremacists are enjoying the Carmelo Anthony fuckery and could care less about Austin Metcalf. Rest in peace, Austin. I was going to cover that tonight, that verdict. I had a guest who was a lawyer who was going to come on, but they had to cancel. So I'm still hoping to get a lawyer to talk about what happened in the courtroom, because one of the things I have noticed with this particular case, there's a lot of videos on social media saying this is what happened, this is what happened, and that's not the case. So I really am hoping to get them again, to bring them back on so they can break down what actually happened in the courtroom. Shout out to Blockbuster, says hi. Greetings, CBC voter, says happy Thursday, Sabig and Eric T. Red. Shout out to HH, says Israel occupied America. Greetings, Cloudness. Happy Thursday, Sabby Sabs. Well, I witnessed the greatest comeback in finals history. Do bing bong, let's effing go Knicks B1 fam. I told you it's a lot of Knicks fans out here. Greetings, Han, says good. Alarm is set. Sup, everyone, and stay blessed always. Shout out to Handy, says meltdowns are occurring frequently these days. Yes. And shout out to Mr. Moto, says worst Hollywood Square celebrities ever. Greetings, Hannah, says Sab is back. And shout out to Randy, says good evening, Sabby and my revolutionary comrades. And the penguin blue wave tear, whatever emoji that is. I know it's like StreamYard doesn't show emojis. They add all these extra tools. I feel like Eric can probably tell you this, but I feel like every other week that StreamYard adds extra tools, but they haven't fixed that though. They have not fixed the emoji thing. So if you put an emoji in the YouTube chat, when I put the comment up on the stream, depending on what the emoji is, it doesn't show. Like it'll show this one, the thumbs up, but whatever one that Randy was using there, like it doesn't show that. I don't know what's going on. It's a StreamYard thing. They're not that advanced yet, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, I'm hoping to do call in tonight since I didn't have a show Tuesday night. So stay tuned for that, ladies and gents. Don't want to keep you waiting anymore. Let's go ahead and give a shout out to Sabby patrons. Yeah. I'm trying to do better about my timing with my streams, guys, because I think sometimes I'm streaming for way too long than I should. So I'm trying to do better about the time length here. Shout out to everyone who is a Sabby patron. If you're interested in being a patron, you can join one of these 5 categories. We have the ultimate, the Sabinators. Don't forget about those Sabsters. There's some cool folks around here. We also have Sabbies, and I told you, they are not too shabby. And last but not least, we also have members. All of their names are listed here, ladies and gentlemen, and you can also see their names scrolling across the bottom of the screen there on the ticker. Thank you guys so much. Really do appreciate you, fam. Okay. Tonight's theme is liar, 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 pants on fire. Let's go ahead and take a look at that thumbnail so you can see what we are discussing, ladies and gents. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are discussing Iran smashes U.S. fighter jets, in particular, those F-16s, which I understand are very expensive, ladies and gents. Iran was pummeling U.S. bases in Jordan last night, as well as U.S. equipment. This is not a joke. This is not a game. Donald Trump decided to poke the bear again, and I guess he had to find out. And now we're going to get into the update that Donald Trump appears to be retreating. So we're going to get into all of that as well. We're also going to discuss, this is a big bombshell that was reported by the New York Times, that apparently Jeffrey Epstein and the Trump administration is back in the news again, because apparently JD Vance and friends have been exposed for also participating in the cover up. We're going to talk about what happened in that Situation Room and what they tried to do to absolve Donald Trump. It's crazy times out here, folks. I'm telling you, I told you this wouldn't go away, right? This is not going away. More and more information is coming out. And yeah, doesn't look good for the Trump administration, doesn't look good for Trump, but it also really does not look good for JD Vance. Like now you're going to start to see JD Vance sticking his hand in the cookie jar a little bit here. We're also going to discuss, this story was sent to me by a viewer, and I said, we got to talk about this. It starts off kind of scary, but there's a happy ending. And this is the first time I think you'll hear me say on this show that this was an everyday hero who showed up at the right time. The gentleman there in the yellow square underneath Epstein saved this woman's life. We're going to talk about that story about the fake cop who kidnapped a girl. Thank goodness for that guy who just happened to be there, right time, right place. And I'm going to explain to you how you can prevent something like this possibly happening to you. Like, how do you know whether or not someone is actually an officer and not just pretending to be one? Last but not least, Gwyneth Paltrow is not having a good week, honey. No, 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 no. Gwyneth Paltrow is being shamed by every side of the internet, and it is not because of her coochie candles. It is because Gwyneth Paltrow decided to do something that the majority of Americans are against. So this is the first and probably the last time you will ever hear me talk about Gwyneth Paltrow on this show. But this needs to be said, ladies and gents. So welcome, and let's get started, shall we? First and foremost, start us off right by smashing that like button, ladies and gents. And if you're new, don't forget to like, sub, and share, just like a Care Bear. Let's keep it moving and grooving. Summer is here. Summer is here. And summer stories are here. I guess you could say that. I don't know. So again, the theme is liar, liar. So in the first story, a recent bombshell was dropped by the New York Times that exposes not just Donald Trump, but the Trump administration in participating in the Epstein cover-up, including JD Vance. Let's go ahead and get into this clip here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, JD, you thought you were going to get away. No, 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 no. The name of this article, this exclusive, is called Inside the White House Freakout over the Epstein files.
On July 17th, 2025, about a year ago, a chunk of Trump's top officials, who you see listed on your screen, led by the vice president, filed into the White House Situation Room without the commander-in-chief, without President Trump. They were trying to figure out how to regain control over the growing ugly narrative that the Trump administration was, at the very least, complicit in a cover-up for the crimes of now dead pedophile Jeffrey Epstein and other predators in his orbit.
Let's take a look at this picture here for a second so I can tell you who everyone is. So July 17th on 2025, all of them were in the Situation Room. That was JD Vance. That was Susie Wiles, who's very close to the president. That's his chief of staff. David Warrington, White House counsel. Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, the woman who lies all the time. We have Taylor Budewick, who is the deputy chief of staff. Todd Blanche, of course, attorney general. Stanley Woodward, Associate Attorney General, James Blair, Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Chung, Communications Director, and on the phone was Kash Patel and Pam Bondi. Let's keep it moving.
Orbit. 10 days earlier, the Justice Department and FBI had released their nothing to see here memo, saying that their review found no client list of the powerful men to whom Epstein had allegedly trafficked girls, underage, and women. Vice President Vance reportedly told the group, this is a huge problem. And he argued that all the Epstein files should be released. The report says, quote, Vance had also floated to colleagues an extraordinary PR gambit that the White House enlists Tucker Carlson to interview Epstein's longtime girlfriend and co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, in prison.
Pause. Everyone look at this, and we're going to look at this article as well a little bit more closely because there's other things in this article that I think need to be said. You had the president of the United States who really wanted to use Tucker Carlson to interview Ghislaine Maxwell to absolve Donald Trump. This is where we're at now. The vice president of the United States.
It might help the president if Maxwell was willing to state that Trump had not been part of any wrongdoing with Epstein. Spoiler alert, Tucker did not get that gig. You will note, however, that the goal here, as stated, seemed to be to get Trump cleared by Maxwell, who is a criminal with questionable credibility, to say the least.
So let me pause here for just a second because I want to bring something to your attention. We don't know if Tucker Carlson even reached out to her for that interview. At this point, I do not know. But JD Vance was going to use not just a podcaster, but someone who I guess he's somewhat friendly with. I know Tucker Carlson was close to Donald Trump at one point. I guess not anymore. But he was going to use someone that was close to the president, someone that he knew, someone who had a microphone, who's a podcaster, who's a very public figure. He was going to try to get him to interview Ghislaine Maxwell to go on record and basically say Trump didn't do anything wrong. How is this okay? So do you see how, like, you have a presidential administration that is so that tight knit with the media, how they're telling the media what to do and what to say? There's more.
The task of the interview ultimately went to then Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who Trump has now nominated to be full-time Attorney General. Cut to August 13th, 2025, the Epstein scandal still raging. A similar Situation Room meeting is convened where the conversation turns to what allegations might be in those files about the president. One official reportedly raised the subject of a disturbing but unverified accusation against Trump that had come to light in case filings unsealed in 2023. And that included emails sent to a journalist by Epstein victim Sarah Ransom. And apologies in advance for some of the blunt language and visuals it will impart. We are going to edit some of it just because we don't need to go into all of it. You can read it in the New York Times story if you want more. Ransom claimed, quote, Ransom claimed that she knew a girl in Epstein's sex trafficking ring named Jen who said she had sex with Trump. Ransom also claimed that Jen had told her that Trump had a predilection for nipples, unquote. It goes on into more graphic and disturbing details. Again, not corroborated allegation. The New York Times report also notes that Ransom's credibility was not uncomplicated, given that she had made another claim that she had footage of prominent men having sex with young girls in Epstein's orbit, and Ransom later retracted that claim, saying she was fearing for herself and her family if she went forward. Again, just to underline, these are all unverified allegations. Trump has not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing in any sort of court of law. He denies any wrongdoing. But Trump officials were concerned about this allegation resurfacing if the Justice Department released all the Epstein files in its searchable library.
And this is part of the reason why they did not release all of the files. Now, looking at the pictures of everybody that was in that Situation Room and the two who were on the phone, Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, now you see why Pam Bondi was like, oh, well, you know, we can't release all the files because, you know, we got to protect the victims. No, it was about protecting Donald Trump and his friends. And honestly, like, we'll get into the article a little bit more. They would have been better off just releasing all of it because I think they thought that this was going to go away. And it hasn't gone away. And now more and more information is coming out. So you can now add JD Vance to that list of participating in the cover-up.
Which they only did, by the way, after being compelled by Congress. Now, here's how some of the Situation Room debate went down, according to this Times report by Haberman and Swan. Quote, the vice president said he thought the president would be okay with releasing the nipple-related documents, arguing that Trump had been accused of worse. I think we should put it out, he said. It would cause people to say, we're going further than we need to. Trump White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles quickly responded that the president would not, in fact, be okay with it. It was a point no one wanted to continue debating. Now, this story summed up the White House dilemma, as the report put it, quote, piles of accusations were impossible to disprove and equally impossible to make go away. Every door they opened led to another room, and in every room were more claims for more women, unquote.
What was so interesting was that you could really see President Trump losing control of the Epstein story paragraph by paragraph as they give this internal account of the Trump team trying to deal with it. And part of what is so fascinating about it is that, listen, we're living through a presidentially led backlash to Me Too, right? The president has appointed himself the chief opponent of this movement. But then what happened is it turned out that people really cared about the Epstein files. They were grossed out by the idea of young women being manipulated by the powerful and the wealthy. And part of the lasting power of Me Too is that there's a lot of empathy, especially for very young victims. And so to see the president sort of hit by, you could almost call it a backlash to the backlash, was really interesting.
This ultimately is what changes that Trump support, right? This is where some of that divide comes in. And I'll show you in just a second, because there's a poll that actually backs this up. And I think this is why when we get to the article and you'll see what he said to Charlie Kirk, I think this is all going to be very important. When we look at this tweet here from Rokana, it says a cover up for sexual abuse brought down Orban. The cover up of the Epstein files is bringing down Trump. So remember, Rokana, Thomas Massie, and MTG were a part of that coalition that brought the Epstein files forward. Look at Donald Trump's net approval rating. So this is a screenshot here. He's down 9 points for immigration, 25 points for foreign policy. I think we all know why that is. He is down 26 points for trade and tariffs, down 29 points for the economy. But look at the number one issue. He is down 42 points for the Epstein case. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe it is this one. Iran is part of it, but I believe it is this one based on the numbers that really did divide Donald Trump's coalition. Donald Trump saying there's nothing to see here. Donald Trump saying just stop talking about Jeffrey Epstein. That ultimately split his base, especially those who may have supported Donald Trump, but let's say they were victims, right? They were victims of trafficking or sexual assault or anything like that. It is that Epstein case that really fractured that base of Donald Trump. Now, I want to get into more about the J.D. Vance part, because one of the things they mentioned here is just how active J.D. Vance is on social media and what he was seeing versus what Donald Trump was seeing. Listen to this.
Frustrations that we and myself have also been hearing from senior White House aides about the fact that J.D. Vance lives online, that he is someone who is too online, too wrapped up in the MAGA online ecosystem, and that he does sort of propagate and buy into some of these conspiracy theories that in the case of the Epstein files has come back and created sort of a monster of its own to bite this administration back. Not just politically, but also just sort of morally, if we are taking a step back and looking at this in an apolitical way. This is something that initially, this was a conversation that also cropped up again during some of the fractures that started to emerge during the Iran war. I was told by some senior aides that they felt like they were brushing off the criticisms from Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, some of the MAGA online influencers, while J.D. Vance was sort of online reading them, and it was essentially fueling some of his private consternation about the war. So it's now, I think, certainly, again, illustrative to see yet another example of J.D. Vance's dive into the MAGA media ecosystem online and the way that sort of impacts his everyday job as President Trump's vice president.
So what you're hearing there is that J.D. Vance was very much paying attention to what people were saying online. Trump supporters, what they said online, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, Thomas Massie. He was paying attention to what they were saying about the divide that the Epstein trials did cause. Now, they went on to complain about other things as well, not just that one, but he was not just shoving that aside. But the fact that he went so far as to say, let's get Tucker Carlson, because here's the article here. Let's get Tucker Carlson to come in and get him to interview Ghislaine Maxwell. So the name of the article here is called Inside the White House Freak Out Over the Epstein Files. And I want to jump to this part right about here. Vice President appeared panicked to others in the room about the way the subject of Epstein was already dividing the MAGA coalition. Some senior officials had the impression that Vance had bought into the darkest theories about Epstein and a cabal of predators hidden within the country's ruling class. Wiles, which is Susie Wiles, would tell others that the vice president had proved himself to be a major conspiracy theorist. So you see how they were rejecting it in this way? They're like, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. Goes on to talk about how he floated the idea to get Tucker to interview Ghislaine Maxwell. I want to remind you guys again, the reason why this is so appalling is because Ghislaine Maxwell was not just someone who recruited those girls. According to several of the victims, it was alleged that Ghislaine Maxwell also participated in the abuse. So the fact that people just talk about her as if she was just caught up in all of this and Jeffrey was just the mastermind behind everything, you got to push back on that. She was very much implicated in the activity as well. So as we go on here, it says Vance told the group he believed all the files should be released as soon as possible. He argued that Congress was going to force the release of the files eventually. It was already clear that a bipartisan coalition in favor of such action was forming on Capitol Hill, and the momentum was going to swing in one direction. If the administration got out ahead of this and released everything voluntarily, including whatever material existed about the president, it would at least get credit for transparency. The alternative was to let the story drag on for months as information dripped out. So in other words, JD Vance was saying, let's play offense instead of playing defense. Right? That's why he wanted that interview also with Ghislaine Maxwell. But the reason why this article is so damning is because you know how many times these people got on camera and they lied about, well, no, it's not this, it's not that. JD Vance lied on camera about this. Caroline Leavitt, who's the press secretary, continued to defend Donald Trump and pretend like this wasn't even really an issue. All of these people lied, and all of them were in that situation room. They knew how serious this was, and they chose to just dismiss it anyway. Why? Power, position, and money. They'd rather keep their riches, their benefits, and all the perks that come with those positions and whatever else they want to do in the future than do the right thing. Here's something here from Blair at the meeting. With all due respect, the communication strategy of this group got us here. I don't know that it's going to get us out. And if you're going to go in front of the press, you've got a lot of work to do. So see all the pushback that's coming here. Now let's go to the part about, see if I have this here. The part about Charlie Kirk. Because this, here we go. Right here. Some of the complexity was self-inflicted. In the engine room of the MAGA movement, the Epstein files were potent fuel. Elon Musk had used his social media platform to repeatedly question why a client list had not been released. Donald Trump Jr. and JD Vance had invoked the Epstein files as a broader campaign message to argue that powerful people were hiding the truth from Americans. Tucker Carlson and young conservative leader Charlie Kirk had insisted that the government should release the documents, and each floated the idea that there was an expansive cover-up in progress. So you see that? Let's go to the next one. Go down. Here's another one. On July 12th, Trump told aides he was very unhappy with some of the most influential supporters, including Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson, and Megyn Kelly, all of whom were publicly urging the administration to come clean. Kirk had a TPUSA event the previous day that turned into an Epstein grievance fest, with one speaker after another bashing Bondi over the handling of the situation. Trump had called Kirk and scolded him. What did we just say? Trump called Kirk and scolded him. Just remember, this was July, not too long before Charlie Kirk was killed. So there wasn't just anger about the Iran, the Israel situation. it seems like there also may have been anger about the Epstein situation when it comes to Charlie Kirk. Everything is coming out, folks. If Charlie Kirk wasn't killed not too long after this, I would just say, well, they were disagreeing about this. Trump was wrong, yada, yada. But he was killed not too long after this. Look at this part. Nobody in Trump's orbit had a better feel for the younger part of the MAGA base than Kirk, who saw that the Epstein cover-up, as it was now viewed, was capturing attention to an alarming extent. So Donald Trump was not happy that Charlie Kirk had that session at a TPUSA event where he allowed people to vent their frustrations about the Epstein files. Well, well, well. It's all coming out, folks. That was July. He was killed not too long after that, September. Want to bring in this clip here from Rokana, what he said about this. Again, this article is making the rounds, ladies and gents.
Congressman Khanna, this is a fascinating account inside the White House at a time when we together on this program were considering the possibilities that they were obviously considering, like pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell.
Lawrence, it's really a bombshell report. I mean, you have the president's attorney general sitting there in the Situation Room talking about covering up on the Epstein files, talking about whether they're going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, talking about how to deceive the American public to protect Donald Trump. I had no idea, actually, about the lengths that Vance and Bondi and Blanche and Susie Wiles were going to cover all of this up.
And now we see.
Yeah. And then let's remember, don't forget, Caroline Leavitt was there too. She's the one that puts out the message. Mr. Storm, yes, the puzzle pieces are coming. Everything is coming together now. So it's not just about, and don't forget, Ghislaine Maxwell has been asking for a pardon from Donald Trump. Remember that story about the thumb drive that Ghislaine Maxwell sent over to the DOJ? Didn't hear much about that anymore, did you? Money runs the world. The people who have it, they get to use it. Something else came out about this. Listen to this, man. It's getting bad. It's getting bad. Per the FBI, Trump knew and funded underage sex parties in Palm Beach. Now, this has been unclassified. This is dated June 21st, 2021. And it says here, Epstein trafficking. Of course, part of this is redacted. Actually, let me take it back because it's bigger this way. So redacted, date of birth, redacted, called the FBI National Threat Operations Center to report Donald Trump knew and funded underage sex parties at the Donald Trump golf course. Redacted provided the following information. We want to look at the part that's highlighted here. Actually, I'll read the whole thing. Blank was recently interviewed by an FBI agent. However, he felt triggered as a victim and did not report all of the information. This is a he now, not a she. Goes on to say here, redacted had recordings of Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell discussing marketing strategies for high-profile sex parties at Donald Trump golf course. However, redacted mailed the recordings to a lawyer in the Cayman Islands. Redacted was part of the Sinaloa cartel. Interesting. And worked closely with Epstein and Maxwell. However, he was able to walk away from the cartel due to his status with Epstein and Maxwell. In the recordings, Trump stated he was aware of the underage sex parties and charged the house money of the golf course to fund the sex parties. Redacted witnessed Robin Leach. Remember the whole Robin Leach thing? Robin Leach strangled a young girl during a sex party. He claims she is buried behind the 19th hole at the Donald Trump golf course. Redacted is aware of 3 separate occasions in which girls were. Everything is coming out. So this is why, and we'll go to this part here, because we cannot also, we also cannot forget about Epstein's assistant, who for a while has kind of skated by a lot of this, but she did participate in one of those closed door hearings yesterday, her and of course, Bill Gates. So we got to bring in Leslie, because Leslie was Jeffrey Epstein's assistant who claims to, I guess, not really know anything. I call BS. Listen to this.
Let's talk about the Epstein hearing, because you just stepped out of that closed door interview with one of Jeffrey Epstein's longtime assistants. The testimony is coming to a close right now. According to sources, Leslie Groff, the longtime Epstein assistant, she denied knowing about the convicted sex offender's crimes. She did describe him as a master manipulator. You're on the oversight committee leading the investigation. You said that you believe Groff was being truthful when she said she did not witness Epstein's sexual behavior with underage girls. Yet, Groff apparently didn't see anything wrong with scheduling Epstein's massages with young women when he was already a registered sex offender. So can you explain why you think she's being honest about knowing of the crimes?
Sure. So she did not witness the sexual activity. She didn't witness it. That's it. That's the only thing I believe that she said truthfully. She tried to deny even knowing Jeffrey Epstein. She said she wouldn't describe that they had a relationship at all. So
I'm Jeffrey Epstein's assistant, but I don't know this person at all. Can you believe it, ladies and gents?
Meanwhile, Jake, Leslie Groff's name is in the Epstein file more than Epstein's name is in there. She's in there 157,916 times, and we're only halfway done with the documents. So I do not think her testimony was truthful, except in that one narrow, the massage parlors were like on the fourth floor or third floor of Epstein's, mansion in New York, and Groff's office was on the first floor. So I think she's probably telling the truth about that. She did not witness anything. However, she did refer these young. Now, this was at a time when Epstein is a convicted, registered sex offender. She is still referring young women to give massages to Jeffrey Epstein. So.
Yes. Guys, this woman, her name is mentioned more in the Epstein files than Jeffrey Epstein's. And I was wondering when they were going to bring her in to have her testimony. Because you mean to tell me you work with this guy for years as his assistant and I don't know nothing about nothing. I don't know who Jeffrey Epstein is at all. Nothing about nothing. Nothing to see here, folks. We're going to get to the Bill Gates part in a second, too.
So there is complicity there. There's aiding and abetting, the activities of Jeffrey Epstein. So I am not giving her a pass at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Much of 90% of her testimony was not believable.
So tomorrow, the Oversight Committee is going to hear from billionaire and Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates. His ties to Epstein are well documented in the Justice Department's Epstein files. What do you want to learn from Gates?
So we think, look, there's a number of business connections there. However, there's also a multi-year relationship between Gates and Jeffrey Epstein. And I know that much as Epstein was trying to play Gates just like he did Wexner to get investments, there was also something very creepy going on there. And, we would like to find out to the degree that Bill Gates, knew about that. I know he's apologized to his staff, but that relationship went on for a long time after Jeffrey Epstein was convicted and was a registered sex offender.
The people who continued to have the relationship after the conviction, I mean, come on. Like, Bill Gates, come on, Bill, I don't want to say it like this, but here he is right here saying, I want to help the victims. But, I think, and you're not to make fun of nobody, but Bill Gates probably, didn't get no stuff like when he was, growing up, because he was kind of nerdy, dorky guy. And then he becomes this rich guy And then next thing that you know, like he's around all these rich people. And of course, they have all these young, beautiful, like women, and then some of them underage girls. Let's be clear here. And he's like, wow, women like me now because I'm rich and wealthy. But he reminds me of one of those guys. He didn't get no, he didn't get no cooch like back in the day. And so when you have these type of guys and then they get money and they start getting all this attention, it's just, come on, Bill, get out of here.
Glad to be here voluntarily to testify to help with the committee's work. I'll start with an opening statement in the hearing room. I hope my testimony is helpful to the important work of the committee to find justice for the victims.
Lawmakers have.
He didn't want to get why where was that before the files were released, Bill? You didn't want to get justice for those victims before the files were released and your name was put out there. It makes me feel some kind of way. It really does. But all of this is coming out, ladies and gents, and people are seeing the Trump administration. They can't wash their hands of this. I really think they thought this was probably put to bed, especially since, they fired Pam Bondi. They got her out of there. They probably thought this was all set, good to go. Kash Patel, you probably on the chopping block next. They probably going to get rid of you too. But the thing is this, like, no, this isn't going away, because I think if they would have came forward and released all the files and whatever damning other information that is in there about Donald Trump, at least you can say the administration released all the information. But no, like, first they told you there was nothing to see there. They put out those fake binders with those influencers and said, look, we got the files. And it was so obvious. And you know what? The public was not willing to let this go. So liar, liar to the Trump administration, to all of them. Shame on you guys. And it's coming back. It's coming back in your face, man. People are not letting this go, and rightfully so. Let's go to some of the comments here, ladies and gents. Thank you for the super chat, Kenman. Gwyneth Paltrow is mid in appearance. Okay. X Special said, I will never watch another movie with Gwyneth Paltrow. Yeah, I know people are mad at her. Myra said, Tucker don't like Trump anymore. Thank you, Anton. The reality is Trump is a pawn in the global order, and the conscious world knows it. They will always protect each other while distracting we the people with BS elite class fighting. Wake up. Good point. Thank you, Measured Man. Have you seen the interview of the book coming out? I saw parts today and how they plan to roll it out, and they blamed Bondi. Can't wait for it to drop. And they're going to blame anybody but Trump. Thank you, Cheetah. These people are birds of a feather flock together. Thank you, Chris. In order to be in the club, you have to participate in the game. Oh my God, you guys should watch the movie. Is it Eyes Wide Shut? Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. I think it's Tom Cruise. Yeah, I think it's him. Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, Eyes Wide Shut. Measure Man says, now looking back, if I had the date wrong, the next week, Charlie went on his show and said, let Epstein files go, and his audience attacked him. Interesting. Thank you for this one. Sabby, finally, the Rothstein, Kushner, Epstein, Kirk has been connected. That island deep dive exposed it. Remember, Epstein sued Rothstein for Ponzi, who runs Kushner's firm. Thank you, Catherine, for the super sticker. And thank you, JJ. PD Files run the world, SMH. Let's go ahead and get that Rumble rant there, and then we'll get to the next story. Yeah. Thank you so much for the Rumble rant, Mark. Who's this CNN guy? I forget his name. He's a major douchebag. Yeah, that's Jake Tapper, the guy who always runs cover for Israel. He's a something. All right, ladies and gents, if you haven't done so, do me a solid and smash that like button, and we're going to keep it moving and grooving to the next story. And this one ends on such a good note. It's rare that we have the everyday heroes out there, and it's not often I get to talk about a hero story on this show. But one guy who just happened to be in the right place at the right time, he stepped up, and I believe he saved this girl's life. Everyone who watches this, please take note. What happened to her could happen to any one of us. And I'm going to show you for the signs to look out for. This happened in South Carolina, near Aiken, South Carolina. I know, South Carolina again. I'm sorry, guys. Listen to what happened to this girl.
Tonight, a News 12 exclusive as the 911 calls in an alleged kidnapping in Aiken County are released. Good evening. I'm Zaina Halliburton.
And I'm Will Rio. Callers describe the moment they say a woman ran out of the nearby woods handcuffed. Take a listen.
Aiken County 911.
Hey, we got a girl over here running for her life.
You need to sit down, sweetie. Hey, calm down. Come on. You all right?
Deputies arrested Jonathan Willard after they say he tried to kidnap a woman and impersonated a police officer Friday morning. The victim says he came up behind her, said he was with the police, handcuffed her, and put her in the back of a green metallic Cadillac. She says he...
Pause right here. Everyone pay attention to this story. Women, men, if you got kids, please tell your kids this could happen to anyone. This guy was impersonating a police officer. And now if you don't know and someone comes up behind you and they say they're a police officer and they say, okay, you're arrested, you're coming with me. Most people are going to go with the officer. Like, they put you in handcuffs. And if you think, you believe it is an officer. And this is where things can get scary. There are fake police badges that people can get. People can get fake police uniforms. Let's go on. Again, if you're just joining, this was in Aiken, South Carolina.
Police officer Friday morning. The victim says he came up behind her, said he was with the police, handcuffed her, and put her in the back of a green metallic Cadillac. She says he took her phone, social security card, and more, claiming to take her to the police station. Deputies say instead he pulled into a driveway and got out to look through the trunk. That's when the victim was able to escape and flag down help from a passing truck driver.
And tonight, your senior investigative reporter Liz Owens is live from our newsroom after speaking to one of those witnesses. Liz.
Divine delayed timing. Those are the words Anthony Moore said that led him to being at the right place at the right time.
Aiken County 911.
Hey, we got a girl over here running for her life.
So you see this car right here? So this is the Cadillac. This is the car that he put her in. So they're going to show you how she got out of the car. But as you can see, she's running with her hands behind her back because her hands were handcuffed.
I believe God held me up with those preceding things to be at that appointed place at that time with that dash cam.
Anthony Moore spends a lot of time on the road. He's on the road now, sharing the story behind the video.
Had to have been around close to break of daylight, 7 o'clock, somewhere close to that area.
He was driving along Williston Road when suddenly a young woman ran out near Boggy Gut Road.
But she would run on one side of the road, try to run over there, run to the other side of the road, try to run over there. She said, help me, he's trying to kidnap me.
Investigators later identified the driver as 39-year-old Jonathan Willard of New Ellington.
So when she got to my side of my door, he pulled up beside and said, I'm law enforcement. He didn't show me the badge. He just held it up. Just held it up sideways.
That part right there. These are things to pay attention to. So notice that Anthony said he didn't actually show him the badge. He just held it up sideways. That's one of the warning signs. We'll get into the thing to look for about the car that they put you in as well, about these unmarked vehicles. But that was something that stood out to him. Like, thank God he picked up on that.
And he said, I'm with law enforcement, and she just jumped out of my car. She said, no, I didn't. You trying to kidnap me.
Another driver stopped to help, calling 911 as he walked up.
That man trying to run her over?
Trying to run over when I came up.
Right now. I'm on the phone with the cops now. Yeah, handcuffs on her.
He can't be legit because...
Hell no, he's in a damn white Cadillac, right?
Anthony says the Cadillac took off, leaving the young woman with them on the roadside.
Here, you want to come sit on this little hill right here? You need to sit down. I'm afraid you're going to pass out. I wish I had a way to get these damn things off of you.
Can she remember what he was wearing?
Oh, I got him. I got the handcuffs off.
And I said, do you have a phone? And can we call somebody other than 911? And they sending the cops and the rescue squad. She said, he has my phone and my diploma. I said, your diploma? She said, yes, I just graduated yesterday. And she was just frantic. She wasn't talking like I'm talking to you now.
The young woman
So this girl just graduated from school.
told dispatch she wanted to stay at her dad's house after graduating on Thursday. She was walking home to her mom's the next morning when a greenish-white Cadillac DeVille stopped her near the corner of Banks Mill Road and Club Drive.
She said that car came out of some kind of apartments on the road where she was walking, and he ran up to her and said, "I'm with the cops, and I got to take you in." Handcuffed and threw in the back seat. I said, "Well, how did?" And I said, "Where was this?" She said, "Way on North Aiken side." I said, "And he brought you way out here?" She said, "Yeah." And he pulled in that road, and she said, "When he left his door open, and when he was fumbling around in the trunk, and that's when I jumped out of the car and ran out in the highway. And that's when
Thank goodness she took that chance, because most people might have been too scared to do that. But she had intuition to say, okay, look, now's my chance. I don't think this guy might be a police officer. Now's my chance to get the hell out of this car. So she took a chance there, but she ended up doing the right thing.
I saw it.
When Anthony isn't behind the wheel, he's behind the pulpit.
Delayed divine timing, because God has an appointed place for us to be at an appointed time. When you are expecting things to happen, consider the things that God may be doing in your life or holding you up for. Standing in line at the grocery store and you in a hurry. Why are so many people in that lane today? Could be because God is holding you up for something. Holding you up to save your life, or maybe you're going to be in place to save somebody else's life.
Investigators found and arrested Jonathan Willard the following day. He's in jail now, charged with impersonating a law enforcement officer and kidnapping.
Just a wild situation, and to watch that video and hear that witnesses breakdown of everything that happened. I mean, it's a scary situation. I can only imagine what's going through her mind after all of this.
It's just incredible. And to have Anthony Moore reach out and tell us what happened and share his side of the story. I mean, the timing it takes for him to be where he was when all of this happened is just incredible. He says God put him in the right place at the right time, and he likely could have saved her life that day too.
Let's give it up for Anthony Moore. Yeah, give it up for Anthony Moore, because that man just happened to be there at the right place at the right time. Now, what happened to her, it can happen to anybody. It can happen to anyone. And I want to show you what to look for. Like, I don't want to just talk about these things and then not like try to prepare you. So check this out. So how you can tell the difference. Let me make this a little bit bigger for you. These are key safety tips, right? Proper identification. This is one of the big ones. Real officers will identify themselves, state their agency, and explain the reason for the stop. They carry both a badge and an agency-issued ID. Always ask to see both. Officers should provide their badge number and agency name. So like the sheriff's office, the police department, etc. Be cautious if they refuse. These are just some things like people may not know they can do this, right? Uniforms and equipment, radios, marked vehicles, and standard gear are common indicators. Even in plain clothes, officers must identify themselves once enforcement begins. If the officer is in an unmarked vehicle and you feel unsafe, request a marked unit to respond. Here's another one here, verification options. If in doubt, call 911 or the agency's non-emergency line to verify the officer's identity and purpose. Legitimate officers will wait until credentials are confirmed. Behavioral clues. Legitimate officers explain the reason for the stop and will never demand money, request wire transfers, or ask for personal financial information, passwords, or social media access. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, drive to a well-lit public location, such as a busy store, parking lot, before stopping. Something I want to mention here with the young woman, the young girl that was in that video, she was walking. So I think he saw her as a prime target because she was walking, because she wasn't in a car. And I know some people, like if you're parents, this may be something you worry about as well. Like your kids like walking along a road like by themselves, even though she's a teenager, but still, like you see how this guy just came up out of nowhere? Something else that you can look for as well. Real police or impersonator, here's how to tell, right? So just a couple of things. They go into door knocks, but this one is traffic stop. I consider that a traffic stop because she was walking. He came up on the road. The easiest way to identify a police impersonator during a traffic stop is to spot a fake cop car. If a car looks older, aged, and maybe not running in good condition, those may be signs of a police impersonator. When it is dark out, look for reflective decals on the side and the hood of a police car. You can also tell if the car is real by the lights. Flashing LED bar lights, in addition to flashing headlights, are equipped on most police cruisers. Also listen for a warning siren, which officers often use to let the person know they are stopping, that they're the real deal. Also note that some states prohibit the use of unmarked police cars and may even require flashing lights mounted on top of the law enforcement vehicle as a way to thwart police impersonators. I want to mention something else too. I noticed the car that he was driving was a Cadillac vehicle. Yeah, I don't think they drive Cadillacs. Even the ones that are in police cars that is not a regular police car, a lot of times they may be in like a Dodge. What's another one I've seen them in before? I guess Pontiac, back when Pontiac was like a thing. I don't think it really is that much anymore. But you don't usually see a police officer driving a Cadillac, right? So there are things that you can look for. Look at the plates, the license plates. That's also, at least in Massachusetts, that's a key indicator. Police officers, even in a vehicle that's not the standard police car, they have a different type of license plate. So these are things, yes, Ford or GM, that's usually what they're in. So it's scary, guys, but I got to say, I had to share that story because that guy just happened to be there at the right time and he didn't just keep driving. And that's another thing. Sometimes nowadays, people are afraid. People don't want to like stop their car and open their door and help someone. A lot of times like, you don't know what, this person is bringing with them or anything. So shout out to that guy, because I really do believe had she not been rescued that day, he probably would have killed that girl. And she would have been another missing teenager. So people were given other clues here as well. Dodge Durango, Ford Escape, Dodge Charger. Yeah, so you guys are familiar. Yeah. Pam said, I always look for the spotlight by the side mirror. That's another one too. Yeah. So please share that information with your kids, especially if you have teenagers. That's scary. The nerve of that guy, number one, but he's probably going away for a long time because you impersonating a police officer and kidnapping. Talk about being a liar. But be careful, guys. Please be careful out there. Let's go to some of the comments here, ladies and gents. Lonely says South Carolina again. Oh my God, I know. Topaz, yeah. So I told you what they should do. Those are things that they need to, look for. Max says no plates on the car. That's another thing. The plates. Amina, this is wild and in a damn Cadillac. Yeah, in a Cadillac. Thank you, Roger. DMX impersonated an FBI agent driving a black SUV with police lights and sirens, pulled over another vehicle, said he was a Fed, and tried to pull the driver from the seat. Wow. And thank you for this one. When JFK Airport staff tried to intervene, he claimed to be government law enforcement and drove the vehicle through a parking lot exit gate. Yeah. And I think that's when that ID comes in handy, right? Police officers have badge numbers, right? So just some of the things to look for. Let's get to Gwen. Let's get to Gwen. Do me a solid if you haven't done so and smash the like button. And if you're new, Don't forget to like, sub, and share just like a Care Bear. Gwyneth Paltrow, Gwenny, is not having a good week. Gwyneth Paltrow, longtime actress, did something that most Americans are not in favor of. A lot of people didn't know how Gwen actually feels about said country, but they find out today. Check this out. Gwyneth Paltrow is advertising luxury Israeli real estate. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. And this completely backfired on her. I'm going to show you the commercial as well. Well, it looks like Gwyneth Paltrow is the new face of a luxury real estate development in Israel. The actress and wellness entrepreneur's latest role is in an ad for 51 Park, a 2-story, 51-story tower in Herzliya. I probably said that correctly. Herzliya, Israel, a coastal city just north of Tel Aviv. Paltrow is now facing widespread criticism. Oh, yes, honey. Online for promoting an Israeli company as the death toll in Gaza approaches 73,000 amid Israel's military offensive. In the commercial, which is filmed in New York, a chipper Paltrow runs through Central Park and extols the values of living near a park. After her run, she asks her driver to take her to 51 Park. When he asks, New York, she responds with a peppy, Herzliya, Israel. Let's take a look at that ad, and then we'll get back to this. So shout out to DD Geopolitics, who was the first person I saw that shared this. Gwyneth Paltrow promotes $10 million penthouses in Herzliya while Gaza burns and Lebanon bleeds, while children are buried under rubble in Gaza, while Lebanese families flee Israeli airstrikes, while Gazans starve under total blockade. She is fronting an ad campaign for 51 Park, a luxury apartment complex in Herzliya, Israel. Here's that ad, ladies and gents.
Oh, not again. Who decided morning should be so early? Even my coffee needs a coffee. Waking up for a morning run can be brutal, but it's a price I'm willing to pay. Because once I hit the park, pure energy takes over. It's hard to explain. There's a reason the world's most iconic buildings are by a park. 51 Park.
New York?
Herzliya. Israel.
51 פארק, שני מגדלי יוקרה בני 51 קומות, צמוד לפארק הרצליה. עכשיו, בתנאי השקה, כוכבית 3566.
Now, let's talk about not just being tone deaf, because when I tell you about Gwyneth Paltrow's background, I think for a long time people didn't know this about her. You'll understand why she has the support that she does for Israel. You are in a luxury real estate ad for Israel. They're building luxury real estate and you're selling it through this ad while Palestinians are sleeping in tents because Israel demolished their housing in Gaza. They're stealing homes from Palestinians in the West Bank. And you're out here promoting luxury real estate for Israel. Talk about being tone deaf as fuck. Gwyneth Paltrow wants people to believe that Israel is in the right here. We have to remember that after October 7th, Gwyneth Paltrow was one of the celebrities that signed that letter and sent it to Joe Biden. She continued to spread the propaganda about the sexual violence, the fake sexual violence on October 7th. People forget this, but she was one of the people that was doing that. Gwyneth Paltrow. She's very much, and I'll get to this. I'm gonna show you her background now because I didn't know this stuff about her until recently. I knew about that letter, but when you look at her background, you'll start to see more about this. It's always been there for quite some time. in a country where the majority of Americans do not support Israel anymore. And Gwyneth Paltrow seems to be, I guess, surprised that she's getting so much pushback on this. Are you kidding me? Let's get back to the article because I want to tell you why they chose her. This is important too. Let's go ahead and bring this up here. So you saw the commercial there. Here we go. In a LinkedIn post, Gabi Atal, CEO of Israeli creative agency Why Worry, wrote that Paltrow was the perfect person for the campaign. To bring this architectural masterpiece to the Israeli audience, we needed a figure who effortlessly embodies international elegance, a premium lifestyle, and uncompromising quality. Enter Academy Award, Emmy, and Golden Globe winner Gwyneth Paltrow. Paltrow herself has not said anything publicly about her latest gig, nor has she shared the ad on her social media. Following the October 7th Hamas attacks in 2023, Gwyneth Paltrow, who is Jewish, repeatedly shared messages of support for Israeli hostages taken by Hamas. In her 2024 Instagram story, she wrote to the families of each hostage whose life was stolen, "I have thought of you every day for 11 months, but today I send you my heart." It is unclear if Paltrow has ever posted anything about Israel's genocide of Palestinians in Gaza, which has taken the life of over 22,000 children. It's actually more than that. I'll correct this here. It is not unclear. She hasn't. Gwyneth Paltrow is a Zionist. And I think for a long time, people didn't know that until now. We go on more here. Unsurprisingly, Paltrow is facing swift backlash. The Instagram account about the ad and comment section became a hub for blue check accounts to share their takes. Dude, the level of unhinged capitalism is fucking astounding. That's from Alana Hadid, the pro-Palestinian activist sister of Bella and Gigi. Brutal, girl. Have you opened a newspaper or watched the news? This is not even tone deaf. It's actually complicit as fuck. Singer Lauren Girucci, she wrote, "It's low-key looks AI, but also what the actual fuck." Huda Katan, founder of Huda Beauty, commented she knows exactly what is happening here. This video is disgusting. Shame on her. And it's true. She does know. Now let's get into a little bit more here that I want to show you, because when you look at her background, see, a lot of people I don't think knew this, but let's look at this here when we go into her early life, right? So Gwyneth Paltrow's mom is Blythe Danner. Her dad is producer and director Bruce Paltrow. Blythe Danner, her mom, if you guys are not familiar, her mom played Rob De Niro's wife on Meet the Parents, the movie Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers and all that kind of stuff. That's his wife. Her mom's an actress too. Listen to this. Paltrow's father was Jewish. While her mother is Christian, she was raised celebrating both Jewish and Christian holidays. Her brother had a traditional bar mitzvah when he turned 13. Her father is Ashkenazi Jewish family, immigrated from Belarus and Poland. Her mother's family is Pennsylvania Dutch, as well as some Irish and English ancestry. Check this out. Paltrow's paternal great-great-grandfather was a rabbi in Poland and a descendant of the well-known Paltrowitz family of rabbis in Krakow. So let me go on more here because she's very well connected. She was well connected before she got into acting. All right. So she was connected. Her Paltrow's godfather is Steven Spielberg. He's also a Zionist. I don't know if everybody knows that about him, but he is. They all support Israel. They all back Israel. So you see how they all like kind of move together. Now, eventually later on, she converted to Judaism. Let me see if they put up, let me come here, because sometimes they take things out. They still have the personal life part here. Yeah. She announced in 2014 that she was going to convert. And she also does some pseudoscience stuff. All right. Now, look at this one here. This was from Reverse Canary Mission. Listen what they said about Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow, actress and Goop CEO, weaponized debunked mass sexual violence propaganda from October 7th to dehumanize Palestinians. She engaged in genocide denial by erasing Israel's ethnic cleansing. And again, she signed that letter for enabling the ongoing genocide to Biden. Gwyneth Paltrow is one of the celebrities that does not believe that Israel is committing genocide. And you don't hear from her that much. You see, some of these celebrities, they're not out and about in the public all the time, and you don't hear from them as much. So you may not know, but now you know, and you know now. Because when you look at the responses, let me put this back up here. When you look at the responses from that ad that was shared by DG Politics, you'll see, like, and this was funny from Ganja Girl, only pussies need ethno states. It's 2026. Gwyneth Paltrow just put her name and face on luxury development in Israel. This smells like genocide. Yeah, because Gwyneth cares about bank, not children's lives. Like when you see some of the comments, doesn't Gwyneth know the Israelis have been torturing and sexually assaulting and murdering women and children? See what kind of monster is she? I don't think a lot of people knew. I don't think they knew. So yeah, Matt says, shame on you. Yeah, but she's not alone. She's not alone. Jerry Seinfeld, who was caught out last night after that Knicks game, he was asked about Palestine. He's been known to say some really nasty things about Palestinians. Listen to what he says here after that Knicks game.
Oh, Jerry Seinfeld. What up, Seinfeld? What up? Can we get a free Palestine? Can we get a free Palestine? Come on, give us one free Palestine.
It doesn't exist.
It was Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David. Yep, I should have asked Larry David. I should have asked his ass too. Why would you say that? Yo, leave me alone, Modric. Oh, Jerry Seinfeld. What up, Seinfeld?
So let me say something about Jerry Seinfeld, right? Because I don't know who told this guy that he was funny, but here's the thing. Jerry Seinfeld has gone on record during his comedy shows to say that, oh no, the babies in Gaza. He mocked it and made fun of it. And other black comedians will be friends with this dude too, by the way. Chris Rock. Hello? Because if he's saying that about them, I wonder what he say about you. And then here's the other thing. Jerry Seinfeld, newsflash, you're not funny. You see, when we talk about things not existing, had it not been for Larry David, Jerry Seinfeld's career is non-existent. Larry David basically made Jerry Seinfeld's career. Larry David, who's actually kind of funny, Jerry Seinfeld is not funny. Who else do you know can make a show about nothing, get a Hollywood deal for it, and is not even really funny, but the co-stars on the show are more funny than the lead on the show? Who else do you know? Elaine, George, Kramer were funnier than Jerry Seinfeld. To make it even worse, Jerry Seinfeld volunteered with the IDF. This dude went over there and took his whole family, by the way. Took his whole family. Shout out to the Electronic Intifada here. Seinfeld boosts Israel's shoot to kill fantasy tours. Here's Jerry Seinfeld right there with the IDF. So do you see the brainwashing that is happening here? And a lot of people go out and they pay for these comedy shows that Jerry Seinfeld hosts. You got a lot of people going out here buying these damn coochie candles that Gwyneth Paltrow made. She got you guys going out there like putting stuff up your cooch, your hoo-ha, not knowing who these people really are. And I think that matters. These people don't respect humanity. It's not just about Palestine, about anybody. These people don't respect humanity. So you see it here, and it was actually Electronic Intifada was the first one I saw that posted this. Jerry Seinfeld grew criticism earlier when it emerged that while he was in Israel to perform in Tel Aviv, the famous comedian visited an Air Force base and took his family to a tourist attraction into the occupied West Bank for ideological and military instruction. You see this? Took his family. So it's funny to pretend to go out there and kill Palestinians? There you go. There you go. So this is why we continue to say, please, please do not idolize these celebrities. Gwyneth Paltrow, no shame, has no shame. None. A lot of people didn't know this about her until that ad came out and they started looking. Jerry Seinfeld, no shame. And if people don't call him out on it, well, there you go. I mean, well connected. If The Godfather is Steven Spielberg, that tells you some things too, okay? Because now I'm starting to look back on some movies and I'm starting to wonder if Gwyneth Paltrow actually had the talent like that. You know what I'm saying? Or she just got those roles because of who her godfather was. Makes you think. It's sick. It's disgusting. I don't see you making no ad saying you going to Gaza. Where's that ad at, Gwenny Gwen? And meanwhile, she has people out here buying candles that says smells like my vagina. Don't idolize celebrities. Moral of the story, just don't. Let's go to some of the comments, ladies and gents. Hey. Skylar says, the lack of humanity makes me sick. Yeah, it's a humanity issue. These people are ridiculous. Thank you, Kenman. Madonna is also a Zionist. That actually doesn't surprise me. Madonna been a lot of things. Thank you. Where's the love? Remember Jerry, underage girlfriend from the 90s? Even Howard Stern wrote him off for that. And for whatever reason, people seem to be okay with this. Jerry Seinfeld was in his 30s, dating a 17-year-old. What? I tell you, let's get the Rumble rant. Thank you. Who do you love? Are you for sure? Thank you, Mark, for the Rumble rant. Did the girl get her phone and diploma back? I hope so. I believe she probably got the phone back. I don't know about the diploma, but you can always get those back. Thank you, Roger. In 2012, she got backlash for tweeting "ends in Paris for real" while backstage at the Jay-Z Kanye concert in Paris. She was quoting the title of their hit song. I forgot about that. Went all over the place. Thank you, Desert Flower. Love your show. So informative. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Okie dokie. It's time to get to the big story of the night. We'll go to the next part for Type V and C, Eric. Now we got to get to the Iran story. And we're doing pretty good on time. So I think we're going to do call-in tonight after the show. Yeah, because I didn't get to do it on Tuesday with you guys. All right. If you haven't had a chance to do so, please smash the like button for me. Thank you. Let's keep it moving and grooving, fam. Okay. So a lot has happened with Iran and the U.S. in the past couple of days. So let's just back up a little bit to bring you to the present. There was an Apache helicopter that the U.S. government said Iran shot down. From what I saw, Iran denied shooting down that Apache helicopter. I talked to my dad about this. My dad used to work with Apache helicopters when he was in the military. So we had a good conversation about this. And my dad said, there's no way that Apache helicopter was shot down and the pilot and the passenger in the Apache helicopter aren't even injured, let alone dead. Now, Donald Trump said that they weren't injured. He said they're doing just fine. But if you look at what they said the drone was that hit them. Look at this. They are saying a Shahed lodged itself between the two pilots. I'm not sure how a Shahed-sized object does this without obliterating the entire cockpit, and what the helicopter is even able to fly with the wreckage of something like this just under its rotor. You see how big this drone is? So let me tell you something, little hun buns. Apache helicopters, inside of it, it's very compact. They're small. I mean, like literally, if there's two people sitting in it, like you're like this, you know, little sardines. They're tiny. Donald Trump wants you to believe that this big ass drone went in between the two pilots inside of the Apache helicopter who are sitting next to each other like this. The stories that they're telling you just don't make any damn sense. And I think most people are realizing this. So I didn't believe that story. I don't buy that narrative at all. I don't know what the hell happened with that Apache helicopter. I saw the video of it going down, but I do not believe that this big ass drone somehow squeezed in between the pilots inside the Apache helicopter. Okay. But this is important because it was that incident that led Donald Trump to saying the U.S. has to retaliate. We have to strike back at Iran, and we're going to hit them hard, he said. So the U.S. started bombing Iran. Of course, Iran responded to the United States. So they were trading strikes back and forth, back and forth. And I spoke to Professor Morandi about this after all that fire that night. So a lot has happened since then. And Professor Morandi was making it very clear that the U.S. is not doing the damage that they say that they're doing. The United States is losing jets, drones. They're being shot down. Iran is actually the one that is winning. And so now they're coming up with these wild ass stories like this just happened to squeeze right between those two passengers inside that Apache helicopter. That brings us to this moment. Okay. So they started trading blows back and forth, and then it stopped. And then during the next press conference, Donald Trump said, yeah, we're going to go back and hit them again. So Donald Trump started bombing Iran again. That was Wednesday night. And Iran started to hit back. So you'll see here, Iran's IRG Air Force F-14AM taking off from Shahed Air Base in Isfahan earlier tonight. So this is a video of that jet taking off. Oh, by the way, I thought he said their Air Force was destroyed. Yeah. So see, this is the Air Force that Iran has that Donald Trump said the U.S. it's obliterated. They don't have an Air Force. They don't have a Navy. So Iran started to respond to the U.S. attacks on Wednesday night. They also released a footage of the missiles that they launched. You guys can see this. They put faces on them. And messages that I can't read. I'm sorry. Yeah. If people are wondering where a lot of these videos come from, they come from Telegram. So that was Iran, again, launching those missiles. And then this was one of the things that happened as well. Everybody needs to see this. Iran has successfully shot down an American cruise missile of the JASSM type, which is known as a stealth missile that cannot be detected. You can see the footage of that here. These are the things that Trump is not showing you guys, right? Like if you just listen to him and you don't seek out the information through other sources, you'll never see this stuff, this video footage. But you can see it right there. The US is being hit more often than what Donald Trump is claiming. So there you go. That was one of the incidents there. Another one that is very costly for the United States are these F-16s. Guys, these are not cheap to make. These F-16 fighter jets here, you talk to anybody military that has dealt with these. I mean, we're talking millions, some may say billions of dollars to make these jets. This isn't cheap. Every time one of these is shot down, that's a lot of money. So Arya pointed out here, sources tell me Iranian ballistic missiles destroyed or damaged at least 3 F-16s at Muwafaq Air Base in Jordan last night. This is, however, not confirmed by any visual data or official reports, though the likelihood of this is high. Yeah, there's been a number of these that they have taken down. You can see a look at these fighter jets here. So I was talking to Professor Morandi about this as well. Someone has been tracking the inventory and they were sharing it on X, the number of jets and drones that the US government has lost in this war with Iran. Now, one thing that you have to remember is that we don't have the stockpile of weapons that we used to have because we've given a lot to Ukraine. We've also given a lot of weapons to Israel. We're still giving weapons to Israel. So the US government is not like we sitting on a stock of weapons like we used to. And when these are destroyed, that you're talking millions of dollars down the drain. So this is one of the claims that's being said as well. I know, Sabrina, US media needs to apply more resources to translate. I know the Hebrew to English. I know. Yeah, I know. I wish we had more resources for that. So that's a big one. Again, Wednesday night, Iran was like, hell to the no. And then you'll even see some of them here. Jordan got a lot of hits. So this is one here. The IRGC says it struck that Muwafaq Air Base and Control Center with 12 ballistic missiles, saying the attack targeted important facilities and many F-35, F-15, and F-16 fighter jets were parked there. This was in retaliation for the U.S. missile attacks near Karaj and Nazarbad. So let me come here and Pishva. So additionally, the IRGC says it hit 18 important U.S. military targets in 2 waves at Ali al-Salim AB, Ahmed al-Jabbar, and Sheikh Issa AB. This was in retaliation for those U.S. attacks on service units, coastal posts, police areas, and Bandar Abbas Airport. So in this lineup here, we're going to break it down. The first one here is Muwafaq Air Base. Again, this is Jordan. So you see it here. So you can see the fire over there. And now pay attention to the fact that they said 12, because the number that Jordan gives doesn't make any sense when you hear what Jordan said. The second one here is 3 Iranian warheads bypassing Patriot interceptors in Jordan. So that's this one here. That one just goes right through. That also sounded like there was a rooster there. I don't know what that was about. I heard a rooster. It sounded like a rooster sound. Yeah. Yeah, so it got through. Let's go to the next one here. The third one here is the Iranian Shahed 136 drone in Bahrain. Poor Bahrain. Bahrain's just like, look. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's right here. There we go. Underneath the symbol there. And the last one here is the Iranian missiles in Jordan, which Jordan claimed they knocked these down, right? Those are in the far distance. You have to look over there to see them. Right there. Okay. So, let me go ahead and mute this here. The other thing, Iran guards claim destroying U.S. command center in Jordan. So Jordan, let me pull this up here. There are U.S. bases in Jordan as well. I know a lot of these strikes you've been hearing about with the other Gulf states. It's mainly been in Bahrain. We've talked about the UAE, Qatar, but Jordan has U.S. military bases too. And so every time the U.S., when they launch these attacks against Iran, they're launching from those bases in those Gulf states, which is fair game for Iran to respond to. So they're going to attack those U.S. bases. Now, it said here, this is from One, by the way, One News, that Iran guards claim destroying the U.S. command center in Jordan. If this is the case, that is huge. This is a big deal, guys. Like, Iran is not playing around. It goes on to say that they were firing ballistic missiles at the facility. The IRGC said that punitive operation against the aggressor targeted Al-Azraq Air Base and its control center using 12 ballistic missiles. Now, again, hold on to the 12. Okay. That's going to be important in just a second. We can also see, shout out to Drop Site News, 2 separate locations at the Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan have reportedly been hit by Iranian missiles. So here's another one here. So they hit them in 2 separate spots. You can see the smoke here. Again, shout out to Drop Site News because they've been on it, man. Drop Site News probably has people all over the world. Like, they probably have journalists in every country or something. I don't know how they do this. But so Jordan got hit pretty hard. I don't think Jordan knew what was coming. And I just showed you that one. Now, this is important. I told you to hold on to that 12, right? Jordan reports intercepting 20 missiles, but Iran says only 12 were launched. So you see this, guys? Only 12 missiles were launched into Jordan, and they said they intercepted 20. You see how the lies are just pouring out? So again, you got to remember, yes, the Queen of Jordan, is Palestinian, but Jordan is aligned with the West. They sold out a long time ago. Yeah, these monarchies that you have in the Middle East, they sold out to the West, looking out for themselves. So that's an interesting one there. It says Iran's IRGC said in a statement on Thursday morning, they only fired 12. So that's why I don't know, man. Just a lot of lying. Now, this general here, his name is General Hurling. He said something here that was really important. And again, if I was Donald Trump and I was being called out by these generals that have all this years of experience, I would be embarrassed. You know, I would take this as an ass kicking, but Trump does not. Listen to what he said.
See happening, and what do we not see as civilians? Well, the first thing I'd say is there's some confusion. We have a president who basically said last night, Iran shot down an American helicopter. America must respond. But at the same time, he's saying Iran must come to the bargaining table. So this is more of the military threat to Iran. And if you're truly on the verge of a peace agreement, Nicole, you generally avoid actions that make diplomacy impossible. That's what's happening right now. And as David just said, the Iranians are experiencing an existential threat to their country. We are not experiencing that same existential threat. We just have a president that wants to make a deal so he can open up the economic waterway of the Strait of Hormuz. So, what we've seen over the last 24 to 48 hours, the president was confronted with the incident. The first option he has is a limited retaliation against pre-planned targets. And I got to tell you, from a military perspective, they have a boatload of targets in their target packages. The Iranian radar sites, air defense systems, missile launchers, Revolutionary Guard facilities, maritime surveillance nodes. You could go down the list and you know that this is in the targeting book of Central Command. But those are all already military targets in a strike cycle. The other thing that we have to consider is the president going to allow Israel greater freedom of action in Lebanon? That's the thing I'm most concerned about, because this might actually be part of a more consequential decision. So 3 days ago, the president pulled back Prime Minister Netanyahu and said, don't strike Lebanon anymore because we're trying to get a peace deal. All day today, Israel has been striking inside of Tyre, which is a southern city in Lebanon, a Christian neighborhood where a lot of Hezbollah people have been going, Hezbollah fighters have been going to take refuge. So we're seeing the potential for both U.S.-Israeli action. Iran has continued to act by shooting at a bunch of different locations in the Middle East. And what we're really seeing now is a fork in the road. One is continued military strikes, which may expand. And another one is hopefully trying to get a peace negotiation, which the president has not been able to do yet by using military force. So it is really not a good situation. I'm going to add one more thing to that right before.
You guys hear what this general is saying? It's not a good situation. But Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth, they fired, I think it was about 11 generals that were trying to tell them, hey, this is not a good idea. You don't know what you're doing. Donald Trump has no idea what he's doing here. He's just, when he has these press conferences, when he has these interviews where he's talking about Iran, he is reading off like what Pete Hegseth told him. Pete Hegseth is just giving him stuff and saying, here you go. Donald Trump has no idea what he's doing. He's way out of his league with this. These generals know what they're talking about. So when he says that, like, well, you should be trying to get a peace deal, but you're striking them, and I'm worried about Israel's expansion in Lebanon. Like, it's just, this is crazy. But this is what happens when you don't listen to the people who have experience.
Before I got a call from the producer to come on, I had just seen a statement from Secretary Hegseth this afternoon while he was down in Guantanamo saying we're going to hit Iran hard tonight. So the operational security is not real good. It's obvious to everyone what they're doing. And so far, Iran has not caved to the military threats because they've got systems that aren't going to cave through it.
General. Thank you for saying that, General. Everybody read that loud and clear. Iran is not caved because they have, excuse me, sorry. Iran has not caved because they have systems that are not going to cave to it. In other words, Iran is more powerful. And Donald Trump is trying to get people to believe that Iran right now is wanting to run away and back out. They literally said this on Fox News. Listen to it. This is what Donald Trump said to Fox News that Iran is asking for.
This is all taking place as the Iranians are trying to get the United States to stop the bombing campaign. President Trump told me that Iran called him tonight Top Iranian officials and President Trump spoke directly, according to the commander-in-chief tonight, as the president was sitting in the Situation Room. And he told me that the Iranians asked them to stop bombing. And the president said to me, the bombing will stop shortly. This is all taking place.
So this is 100% an absolute lie. Iran did not contact Donald Trump and say, please stop the bombing. That didn't happen. They're just making things up. And so if anything, what you will see, it was Donald Trump who retreated, not Iran. So we'll go into this here again. Like I said, people do not look further into this. We're talking about a country that has missiles buried underneath the ground so deep that the U.S. soldiers, in order to destroy that, they would have to go in on the ground, which would be a death mission for U.S. soldiers. They know this. That's why it hasn't been done, although Trump is talking about it, because we're going to get to that as well. Donald Trump is actually talking about trying to get these soldiers back in there. Now, first, he complains about the Kurds. He said that the Kurdish people let him down because they wouldn't go in and basically, start shooting Iranians and try to have some type of regime change.
There's 2, 3, 4 people laying down alongside of you with a bullet in their brain, and they run. I can't blame them. Who's going to blame them for that?
So can you get them weapons, Mr. President? Can you get them weapons? Provide air cover?
Well, we actually sent them weapons, and we were very disappointed by the Kurds, to be honest with you. The Kurds let us down. I disagreed with the decision. I was saying, no, I don't believe they'll deliver them. I think they kept them for themselves. I think it's a disgrace. But I'll remember that, Kurds. I'll remember that. But they have some guns, but, they don't have the weapons. Look, even if they had some, they're petrified.
I mean, just say it all out in the open that he was trying to arm the Kurdish people to implement unrest in Iran for some type of regime change. Now, see, here's another thing. When Israel and the U.S. killed Khamenei, the former supreme leader, when they killed him, that didn't implement regime change. Ultimately, what happened was his son then assumed that position. And I said one of the things back then was that the father, he was a little bit more moderate, where he was like, okay, well, let's try to see what we can work out with, the U.S., a little bit more willing to do that. Son's from a different generation. Son says, F that. Son said, I'm tired of giving them chances. No. They strike us, we strike back. No. We're not doing all of that. So, it didn't work. It backfired. So now he admits that he was trying to arm the Kurds to go, and you see how they implement these color revolutions in these countries. The U.S. government has been known to send weapons to other groups in other countries. They arm them and tell them, go into your country, go into this country and create unrest. Next thing you know, corporate media will report it as, oh, look at all these Iranians that are killing each other. And they'll leave out the part that I just told you, even though Donald Trump just said it on Fox News. This is how they implement those color revolutions. And then they'll say, see, this country needs regime change. The people are killing each other. We got to take out their leader. And they install a Western puppet. They've done it all around the world, but they haven't been able to do it in Iran. They failed. They even failed in Venezuela because they kidnapped Maduro, but then they didn't even have regime change because Maduro's VP is the person who's running things right now. And actually, Maduro is technically still in charge. So it's out in the open, and they played this on Fox News, and they will pretend like they never heard any of this. That's what drives me crazy. Now he goes on to say that they're going to go in and try to take Karg Island. We told you how dangerous this could be. They would have to put boots on the ground to do this.
Look, my preference has always been take Karg Island. That's been, Brian knows that. I spoke to him a long time ago. Lawrence knows it. I spoke to him a long time ago. I said my preference would be that. I don't know that America has the stomach for it, to be honest with you. You're going to make a fortune. But I don't know that America has the stomach. I think they'd like to see us come home. But we did it with Venezuela. Venezuela's worked out great for everybody. We've taken millions and millions of barrels of oil out of Venezuela. We brought them to Houston and various other places, Louisiana, where refineries that we have that are incredible. They're going 24 hours a day, making a fortune. And, I like that in this case too. But I'm not sure that America has a long time. It's a little longer process, something that's a guarantee if I want to do it.
Mr. President,
but I'm not sure the country has the appetite for it. Does that make sense to you?
I understand where
as good as it is. By the way, as good as it is, that's always been my number one thing. But as good as it is, I'm not sure the country has the appetite for it, and that's okay. I understand that.
I mean,
see how he's contemplating sending in small group of troops, and we're going to send them in and have them take Carg Island. No, they would not. Let's go to the next part for Type V and C, Eric. They would not be able to go in and take Carg Island. They would go into Carg Island and they would be killed. That's ultimately what would happen. Again, Donald Trump, liar, liar. CENTCOM, liar, liar. Fox News, liar, liar. Now, Joe Kent warned about this. He was on Judge Napolitano's show.
But if the president intends on carrying out any kind of action on Carg Island, especially that involves boots on the ground, that's going to make our troops essentially hostages, because the Iranians have proven that they have very durable, very capable drones and ballistic missiles they can employ. And I don't think we've seen them yet concentrate those in a serious way on any of our forces. Although if we did put boots on the ground, that would change that calculus. And even if we did just hit their infrastructure there, the idea that, we're going to blow up some of their oil infrastructure and the Iranians are just going to surrender, I just don't think that we have no data to support that theory of the case. The Iranians are very good at taking pain. If anything, it's going to harden their resolve even more. I mean, really, the president's only viable course of action is just to declare victory like he does in all his social media posts, but then actually leave. Because if he actually leaves, the Iranians can't strike us, and then we can use diplomacy and economic incentives to get the Straits of Hormuz open. And the president can convince most of his base, I think, that we won. He can just say, hey, I blew up more stuff of the Iranians than they blew up of ours. We won, and then he can focus on the domestic agenda, which is what most people care about, and start to kind of have this quagmire in the Middle East fade into the background. But if he keeps escalating like this is going to take up the rest of his term and be disastrous for the country.
Yeah, because he has an ego problem, and nobody can tell him he doesn't know what he's doing. Again, here it is here. Small group of troops can walk in and just take over Iran tomorrow. Listen to this.
The representative saying your phone call with them.
Excuse me. They're finished. But the papers, the media refuses to write it. They're finished. We can walk in there tomorrow. We could take soldiers. I don't want to have boots on the ground, but if I wanted to, we could put a small group of soldiers and take over the whole place.
The representative.
Does Iran look like they're finished to you? Does it look like Iran no longer has a military to you? No. You know who's finished? We're finished. We're the ones having the fighter jets and the drones shot down. We're the ones that have not you and me, but the U.S. government, they have not accomplished this agenda that they wanted. And meanwhile, Iran has now announced that, guess what? The strait is closed to all y'all hoes. Fuck it. Because here's the thing. We are having global economic pain because Donald Trump wants to do this for Israel. And they're allowed to do it because that's what the billionaire class wants. You got to trace it back to the money. Israel was allowed to do what they do because that's what the ruling class wants. They support corporate interest. And that's what a lot of it goes back to. If this did not benefit corporate interests, you wouldn't see all the money flowing that way. So Donald Trump is a part of that billionaire class. Don't forget about that. So now he's decided to back out. Check this out. So after all that talk, he said, based on the fact that discussions with the Islamic Republic of Iran have been brought to the highest level of Iranian leadership and approved, I have, as President of the United States of America, canceled the scheduled strikes and bombing against Iran this evening, because he was going to bomb them again Thursday. Discussions and final points have been, in both concept and great detail, approved by all parties involved, including the U.S., Israel, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Turkey, Pakistan, Bahrain, Kuwait, Jordan, Egypt, and others. The naval blockade will remain in full force and effect until this transaction is finalized. Time and place of this signing is to be announced shortly. So first of all, this is Donald Trump just blowing smoke up your ass again. So you see how he punked out? Yeah, he punked out. And you'll see it here. He goes on to say he is asked about if the supreme leader approved this so-called deal that he says he has. So he's just blowing smoke up people's ass. Listen.
On Iran, how confident are you that there will be a signing this weekend? Because you have come close to sealing a deal, but at the last minute it has fallen apart. And
it'll be soon. Maybe this weekend.
And has the supreme leader approved this deal, sir?
I understand the answer is yes.
That's a damn lie. That is a damn lie. The supreme leader of Iran has not approved a deal with Iran and the United States. This guy just says anything. When I look at Donald Trump's face, you look at his facial expression, you know what it says to me? His face says, believe me if you want to.
And when this deal is signed, is the United States going to immediately lift the blockade?
Yes, that's true. That's part of the deal.
And
you'll have oil prices dropping like a rock.
And sir, on Iran, how confident are you?
I thought you didn't care about that, Mr. I love inflation. So you see the lies that are being told now, and you'll see this as well. I'll go ahead and we'll walk through it on this one because there's not an English translation. But this is Mohsen Razi. He breaks the back of negotiations. This is a new slap to Washington. So you can listen to what he says here. I'm going to say the English version for you.
بدون خروج آمریکا از خلیج فارس و کنترل تنگی هرمز به دست خود کشورهای منطقه.
So without the withdrawal of the U.S. from the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz, especially us in Oman,
ما و کشور عمان که دو طرف این تنگه هستیم امکان نداره امنیت به وجود بیاد. پایان
Oman, which is on both sides of the strait, it is impossible to achieve sorry, what did he say here? Security.
پایان جنگ هم در دست ماست. ما زمانی به پایان جنگ نگاه میکنیم که اولا تمام خساراتمون رو از آمریکا خواهیم گرفت.
We look forward to ending the war when we recover all our losses from America. That's the reparations they were asking for. They asked Trump for the money for all the buildings and infrastructure and everything that they destroyed in Iran. Now, does it sound like the supreme leader agreed to a deal with Donald Trump and they're supposed to sign in Europe and apparently he's not going to be present for it? No, it doesn't. We live in a cartoon.
ثانیاً به یک تضمین 100% باید از آینده برسیم که اون بدون خروج آمریکا از خلیج فارس امکان پذیر نیست.
The future is not possible without the U.S. 100% withdrawal from the Persian Gulf. Therefore,
بنابراین شرط دوم خروج آمریکا از خلیج فارس است. بدون خروج
So again, America must withdraw from the Persian Gulf. So Iran said, he said, look, if you ain't got my money, come Friday, if you ain't got my money, that's a wrap. That's it. That's it. So Trump punked out. It wasn't Iran. Trump backed away. Trump said, oh, I better get out of here. And I'll just say that Iran called me and they're begging me to stop the bombing. No, you were the one getting destroyed. Because they've been pummeling those U.S. bases in the Middle East. You know how much it's going to cost? If they want to rebuild those bases, you know how much money that's going to cost? And he's trying to say it's them. No, it's not. No, it's not them. It's you. That's what I say. Liar, liar. We live in a cartoon. I really do think that Israel and the U.S. bit off more than they could chew with Iran. And there's a reason why presidents before Trump did not go there. Doesn't mean they never would. Somebody would have, because it was already determined in the Brookings Institute. The Brookings Institute plan, I'm going to do a breakdown about that, just a sole breakdown of that, because that could be a show within itself where I break down the plan that was outlined. Again, who outlines it? The corporate class, the corporations. The corporations, they're the ones that are running everything. Who owns the corporations? The billionaire class. That plan was already decided, regardless of who is in the White House. It doesn't matter what the political party is. Trump basically sped it up, but here we are. Here we are. We are going to do call in tonight, ladies and gents. So I'm looking forward to that. There was one thing I saw here that I did want to. Yeah, Texas Real said F-16, the advanced one, 63 million, 70 exported. So there you go. They're expensive, guys. Expensive. All right, ladies and gents, I'm going to take 5 really quick. I'll be back. We'll do call in, and Eric will go to the super chats here.
All right. We will do that. All right. This is the part of the show we'll give Sabby a little break while we transition over to the call-in part. We, I mean, one thing with the weapons getting like taken out and whatnot in the jets, like that's just more money for the MIC, military industrial complex, and the billionaires. So like they're almost like cheering when these jets get taken out because more bank, and that's federal dollars. Up to the billionaires. So there you go. Somebody says I should do ASMR. So there you go. I missed my calling.
You should. You should. All right, guys. I'll be back and we'll do call in.
All right. Yeah, and like you said here in the chat here, Raytheon, yep, making their bottom line. And there's also, that whole thing with like where Trump keeps playing it, rushing, we're going to war, and then now we're doing peace, and then it makes the stock market, certain stocks go up and down, and then lo and behold, Trump and his friends just happen to pick and buy the right stocks at the right time, and so for each one of these swings, they make money. I think somebody in the chat called it the largest insider trading scheme of all time. So there you go. But yep, always follow the money. Always that MCDS, right? The money, corruption, demands, and solutions. If you follow the money, you can always really know what's happening. It always connects to the corruption, because that's how the billionaires own and corrupt and run our government. It runs in their interests. It's really crucial to always have demands, right? What are our demands, right? Demand peace, demand an end to the corruption is key, demand a government that works for us and not the billionaire class. And when you get to that, then those demands lead you into solutions. So that's what the whole MCDS thing is all about. And you can check that out at the old 11demands.org. And we're going to be talking about that more in this show, of course, as usual. But for the moment, we're doing a transition to what we're calling the call-in. Sometimes people ask, well, who's this guy call-in? But no, we're talking about call-in. Used to be the name of an app where people would call in and say their bit. The app got bought up by Rumble and them, and then they killed the app, so we moved it to Zoom. So it's basically the Sabby Zoom after show hangout, and you can get in the speaking queue, tell us what you think about the stories from tonight. We got Iran, we got Trump Epstein, we got Gwyneth Paltrow. I'm sure we'll hear some of that. In fact, we got some super chats coming up on that, and of course the fake cop kidnapping, and maybe we can talk a little bit about 11 Demands and MCDS if maybe that comes up. But that, yeah, so we're transitioning over to that at the Zoom Hangout. We'll be giving you the link. Sabrina's actually making the room now while she's on a break. And while she's on break, let's see what we got here in the super chat queue. So I'm gonna start with these Rumble ones. Let's see here. Let's see what we got that's interesting in here. All right, we got this one from Mark Pugsley, who says about Gwyneth Paltrow that she sticks the candles in her in the lit end. I guess so. Well, that's your imagination, Mark, not mine. But thanks for the Rumble rant, and thanks for this Rumble rant. I think the name is Newbie of Death, if I'm reading that right. Yeah, thanks for this one. And they say, talking about, I think, jets and weapons systems, saying that they're obsolete. Get rid of manned aircraft by any means necessary. Cheap autonomous killing drones are the future. I think what he's kind of getting at is that, you know, they would just assume have the aircraft end up getting out of the way, because and it's a take I agree at least somewhat with that the future of war really is more autonomous. It's going to be, you know, autonomous systems and those kind of, you know, and we're already seeing it, and there's, you know, the really frightening prospect of it going really fully autonomous and, you know, having, you know, Terminator style killing machines coming after the humans. If we allow the billionaires to keep running the show, you know, we end up looking towards that kind of potential. So, you know, it really is imperative that the 99% get in there, make their demands, and have government that works for them. All right, we're in the queue here. Thanks for this one, Mr. Roger Meadows, who says, I think about Paltrow in 2012, she got backlash for tweeting "ends in Paris for real" while backstage at a Jay-Z Kanye concert in Paris. She was quoting the title of their hit song. Next for this one, Desert Flower. He says, "Love your shows, so informative." Thank you, Sabby. Thanks you. Appreciate that. And thanks also this one from Roger, who says, "The Dream and Russell Simmons, Diddy defended her. Others like Q-Tip criticized the use of the word. Paltrow never formally apologized, but maintained that the context of quoting the title was harmless." And thanks for this super chat from KT, who says, "Great coverage and calling out the fakes over here that are only interested in the money." Thank you. And thanks for the super chat, Wasim, who notes that hearing a rooster is common in Jordan. Yeah, talking about the rooster we're hearing in that video. So, and thanks for the super chat, Shockwave Truth. You says the rooster thought the sun was up because Iran lit them up. There you go. And thanks for the super chat, Ray, who says to us, thanks. Appreciate that. Appreciate you, Ray. And thanks for the super chat from Where is the Love, who says, Trump says to the Kurds, "I'll remember that." Kurds to Trump say, "Bye, Felicia." There you go. And shout out to a new member on YouTube, Turbo Jerk. And thanks for this one, Leonard Thomas, who says, "I don't know which is more ridiculous, that big-ass drone wedging itself in that cockpit, or the remote possibility of Trump's big ass fitting in that cockpit." Well, there you go. And thanks for this one from Joseph, who says, "If his lips are moving, he is lying." And yeah, you know, Trump's just the kind of character we get in this kind of reality we're living in. He makes it more obvious, but I do think it's a mistake to get too focused on Trump or even necessarily on Israel. It's definitely an in-your-face type of thing, and you know it needs to be dealt with, but it's not the core problem, right? If we dig down, the core problem is getting down to. There we go. Is getting down to. We're both flipping these screens. There we go. Dosey doing. The core problem is the billionaires are running everything. There you go. We know what to fix.
Yep, there it is. All right, guys, we're gonna do call in. So the link should be pinned to the top of the chat. I'm gonna go ahead and open the room on call in while I'm on the stream to make sure that people get into the room. Okay. But yeah, definitely want to chat with you guys since I didn't get a chance to do it. I usually do it on Tuesday night, but since I wasn't live Tuesday, and I see people coming in, if you want to speak, at the very bottom of the Zoom room, there's an option to raise your hand. Oh, hold on, let me see what's going on with my Zoom. Where am I? Oh, there I am. Yeah, there's an option to raise your hand down there. If you click on that, that lets me know that you want to speak and lets me know to call on you. And then if you come in a little bit later, you can go to sabbysabs2.com to also get the link to that Zoom room and that passcode. Eric, once you get in, I'll make you, I see you. So I'll make you a co-host. Oh. Hold on.
Get my hand raised.
There we go. All right, Eric, you are now a co-host.
Cool. All right. Then I will see you all in there.
All right, guys. Yay. Okay, cool beans. All right, guys. I'll see you over at Call In. Have a good night. Keep up the fight. Yeah.